Hi everyone, welcome to the National Support Session for the first assignment. So we are basically doing the NSS1. This session is all about equipping you for the upcoming assignment. Yeah, so let's get started. Obviously, first thing we are going to need is we are going to need to access, let's say, our module. No, actually not our module. The thing that we're going to need is the dates for the assignment. So if we go to the student intranet, and by this, we already know where to fetch everything. So this is not necessarily about where to access everything, but rather the fact that we are accessing everything. And hopefully you understand what I'm saying when I mean that. If you have any questions that you have during the session, please, you're welcome to stop me and send out a chat in the box. See, like here, I was saying that we're starting at 8:05, etc., etc. So yeah, I'm not gonna stop for questions. Well, I'm gonna stop if you have questions. But yeah, and if you also wanna unmute yourself to ask your question, please, by all means, do that. What I was trying to say was that I'm gonna blab on for the session to try and equip you with all of the things that I'm trying to cover. Okay, so the first thing that we need is the date for the assignment, and that we get in our PAS, our program assessment schedule. So you go to the qualification that you're in, or you basically go to, so because it's not about that, let me actually skip all of these, and let me just go to the program assessment schedule. Okay, and we are in term 2, so you will see the one there in term 2, and if I click on it, because all we're trying to access is the date of our assignment and when it is. Okay, so our module is ENTR5112, and you will see that assignment 1 is due on the 6th of September. If I look at my calendar, the 6th of September is next week, Friday. Hence, we're having this national support session so that at least you've got about maybe 5 working days for you to complete this assignment, or 10 working days for you to complete this assignment. And then, yeah, what we also can see here is that it is due at 1 minute to midnight. So please make sure that you submit your assignment maximum 6 hours before the due date, because when you submit your assignment, Safe Assign has to go through your assignment and check for plagiarism or signs of plagiarism, and that may take a while. And if, let's say, for instance, your similarity is high, you have to go back and rephrase your assignment, and that takes time. So please do not wait for this one last minute for you to submit, because there is quite a process that is still left after you submit your assignment. And then the second thing that we need is basically where your assignment is. So to go through, go to your assignment. Can you just checking my settings? It's a bit quiet in here, so I was checking that I'm recording my audio. So here we can see that here's assignment 1. Now what I've done is I've already went and downloaded it. So let's access it. And this is what we are here for. Okay, I don't want to start where I left off the last time I was here. So with regards to the assignment, and maybe if I can check on your module, because this would be also important with regards to the submission links. So you will see here assessment submissions in your module on VC Learn Entrepreneurship. If you scroll down, assessment submission links, the first thing that you have to do is the academic honesty declaration, right? And this you have to do for all submissions. So in other words, if you have a module called, like maybe if you've got 3 modules, it means for every module you have to do it, which means you will do the test 3 times. So please make sure that you complete and send this. This will determine whether or not you are able to, first of all, access your assignment and be able to submit. Well, access your assignment you can, but it will determine whether you're able to submit your assignment or not. And that is what is actually required. So if you go into the academic honesty declaration, you will see that there are instructions. It says that this test is 30 minutes long, and it will be saved and automatically if the time expires. This test is saved and resumed at any point until the time is expired. So it freezes it wherever you stop while waiting for you. But either way, you read those and then you begin the test. So you will see there are more instructions in terms of the test information. The term test and the timer apply only to the declaration and do not have any bearing on your assessment submission. So it's just for this, it's got nothing to do with the submission of your actual assignment. So to go there, you will see there are questions that you have to declare or answer, and it's just the declaration. And you will see the same declaration is the one that you find in your assignment. If not on page 1, then on page 2 of your assignment. Then after you've done ticking all of these, then you will go ahead to save and submit, and that will then allow you to submit your assignment. Because if you look at mine, I am not a student, so therefore I do not necessarily need to complete this integrity declaration, right? Which means I'm not going to save and submit. Now, if I go to the submission links, yes, leave. And here they're just explaining to you that links to submit assessments will be made available as and when they are required. And then the one that I'm looking for is the link to submit your assessment files will only be available after you have accepted the academic honesty declaration. So academic honesty declaration, that's exactly where we were trying to start that test. So after, the link will only be available after you do this. So then in your submission links, if you go, for instance, to assignment 1 and you try to submit, it might not give you, let's say if we try to submit, okay, so I don't know. Okay, maybe because I'm not a student, it just doesn't want to submit. But please make sure that that submission academic integrity declaration has been signed. And another thing with this thing of the academic integrity, please make sure that you submit or that you click on, you see it stopped. Remember it said that if you exit, it will freeze wherever you stopped and allow you to finish. Remember it said that you have 30 minutes to basically check all of these. So please remember, you need to check all of these and please read and to understand what it is saying. Do not just click and submit. You do need to understand. And maybe let's go through these so that they are a general understanding in our lecture or this group or this module. I have read the assessment rules provided in this declaration. This assessment is my own work. I have not copied any other student's work in this assessment. I have not uploaded the assessment question to any website or app offering assessment assistance. I have not downloaded my assessment response from a website. I have not used any AI tool without reviewing, rewriting, and reworking this information and referencing any AI tools in my work. And this one, I'm just going to copy it because it's going to form a very important part of what we also need to discuss for our NSS. So let me... And then I have not shared this assessment with any other student. I have not presented the work of published sources as my own work. And here's where the referencing comes in. I have correctly cited all my sources and of information. And for me, the most important part is correctly, because if you do this correctly, then, okay, if you don't do this correctly, you will be flagged for plagiarism. You will also see in assignment, in your page 2 of every assignment of yours, there's always a referencing rubric, and that we will go through as well, because referencing is one of the most important parts when it comes to an assignment. And then I have what? My referencing is technically correct, consistent, and congruent. And then I have acted in an academically honest way in this assessment. So I think for me, the most important part is where they start using downloading your responses from a website, and this includes AI tools. So please, guys, make sure that you set that as your own, ethical standard, that you will not cheat using AI, because if you get found out, it could lead to a disciplinary hearing, and we do take as an institution take plagiarism as a very big offense, because what you are basically doing is you're cheating. You are using somebody's work and presenting it as your own. It's like if you write a test, but instead of you writing the test, somebody writes that test for you, and you pretend that you are the one that wrote the test. We all know that's not how academics work. So yeah, that's the declaration and those questions regarding the declaration, then accessing your assignment and the submission link of your assignment, and then you should be then all good to go. So with the actual assignment, we've got here the cover page. This is our module Entrepreneurship 5112W. And please always make sure that the assignment that you have found it in the right folder on VC Learn or on the student intranet. Yeah, like whatever you do, make sure that you are completing the correct assignment. And here again, those more instructions here. By submitting this assignment, you acknowledge that you have read and understood all the rules as per the terms in the registration contract, in particular the assignment and assessment rules in the IIE assessment strategy policy. Now, everybody kind of doesn't take this into account. I would say probably 90%, if not more, of the students don't really read to understand this. Because students normally, like today, for instance, there was a student who was asking, when is a supplementary? Like they were writing a supplementary exam, and nobody told them that they are writing a supplementary exam. That's because you need to know when all of those things are due, guys. All of the information that we sent you, you have to read for yourself. And in particular, for assignments, there are two policies that you have to read. The first one, to understand the assessment strategy and policy of the 0091, and then the intellectual integrity and plagiarism rules. That this one you find in the intellectual integrity and property rights policy. So all I can say is please make sure that you go through those. You don't have to read maybe the entire book, but just read to see which rules really apply to you submitting your assignment, and then make sure that you know those rules. And then here again, the academic honesty declaration, you simply tick, and then you tick to declare that you have not cheated in any way when writing your assignment. Then we've got the referencing rubric, and here it really pertains to the academic honesty declaration questions that we had read, because in our academic, and maybe I just want to go to them real quick again. So with regards to referencing, here it says that, where can I start? Let's say providing evidence based on valid and referenced academic sources is a fundamental educational principle and the cornerstone of high quality academic work. Evidence based on valid and referenced academic sources. So what that means is that when you get asked questions in an assignment, so if we look at your assignment that we are currently doing right now, they're going to ask you a couple of questions. So when you go and answer these questions, we want the evidence thereof. And you then need to know where it is that you source this evidence. The first place that you source your evidence is in your prescribed textbook. In fact, I like to make it standard and law that students always refer to their prescribed textbook for answers before they access any other source. Because sometimes you will find that the same question or the same heading, the same heading in two different textbooks has different content. So if you're going to answer the content and it's going to be different from the one in the textbook, do you see that you run yourself the risk of losing marks because of relevance? Sometimes it's not the fact that what that other textbook's answers is incorrect, but rather the fact that it's not relevant for the assessment question, for instance. So what I mean by that is that in this example, for instance, we've got a case study on Dumi and her EcoShine business, right? And maybe there are certain elements of the business that then make it relevant for you to ask a particular type of question. So if that second textbook or any other work that was not from your textbook is used as a primary source of theoretical information, you might not be answering in a way that it would be relevant for this case study. So please make sure that your answers are accurate when you source them from different and what do they call it here? When you source them from, evidence-based and valid referenced academic sources. So when we talk about academic sources, let me then maybe make a note here and say, I'm just going to name this one because I don't want to get, I'm trying to create some sort of an order with what I'm doing here. So now what we are covering is quality sources. And this, I want to talk about quality, and let me say academic sources. Quality academic sources, for instance, would be if, again, you get asked a question, and let me just go to your assignment to go fish for a question, right? Let's say here, discuss whether the venture is a micro, small, or medium size. Outline the functional management skills. Yeah, so let's take, for instance, functional management skills. Okay. So if you go and search for your answer, there are two places that you need to go and source your answer. And that would be EBSCO host, and the second one, Google Maps. So the only reason why I also recommend Google Maps is because EBSCOhost can be quite far to fetch, because you have to go inside your internet portal, and I'll do that for you guys. Whereas Google Maps, if you just go on Google, for instance, if you click on your Chrome browser, you already have the access to these 3 buttons, and then you can go look for Google Scholar. And that one is a little bit easier to find. Where's Google Scholar? If, like me, you can't find it here on the site, what you then do or can do is you can just say Google Scholar. Then once you're on Google Scholar, that means you're on a different type of Google, and this Google is literally for academic reference. And so remember that very same criteria of that sentence: quality academic resource, evidence-based, what. That's what this is all about. Then to access EBSCOhost, and this service is provided free from your institution, all you have to do is go on the website, your student intranet, and then you're gonna go to library. In library, we've got eShelf. And here you will see under eShelf, one of the first things that appear is EBSCOhost. EBSCOhost is basically a database of articles. I don't know, I can't say necessarily all the articles, but academic articles. So then you simply need to then press again on EBSCOhost. And here you can then start searching for any and everything that you need. The same way that, did I take away the Google Scholar? Yeah, the same way that with Google Scholar, you end up being able to ask any and everything, you are welcome to or able to do the same with EBSCOhost. So let's say, for instance, and how you use it is, let's say, for instance, we said our question, we wanted to find out what the functional management skills that are important to me are. So you can go there and press functional management skills. You search. So when you want to search, and maybe I should have also done that, you can also do advanced search. If, let's say, you want functional management skills and then you don't get the answer that you're looking for, you can go to advanced search. So you can maybe say functional management skills, and then maybe you can then say something like entrepreneurship, to try and make it relevant or closer to what you're looking for. So if we search, yeah, so let's see, an integrated entrepreneurial performance model focusing on the importance and proficiency of competencies for startup and established SMMEs. So this sounds very like a high level and very much a relevant article that you would want to know, because it does relate to what Tumi is doing. Because remember, Tumi, she's a startup business. So what I normally do is with these articles, if you want to know where to get your answer, the answer would really be in, can I do that? Nope. The answer would be here in the abstract. Any good article normally has an abstract, right? So here in this article, you can see that it was written by Kunene and whatever in 2015. So maybe let's not use this article because, number one, the date is old. It's an old article. And maybe let's another thing that we can use, no less than 5 years old. That's another criteria we're looking for. So if we go back to the search filters, so to refine our search, let's see, smart texting, full text. We definitely want full text, but then we want publication date starting, if we are in 2024, maybe 1999. What, 2000? Huh? 2019, 2019, 2019, yes, okay, until, 2024. And then we just press enter. Okay. So now we searching for articles that are now more date relevant. You see here we've got a 2019 article, nothing old, and it's talking about measuring and comparing the functional business skills and knowledge of entrepreneurs, right? This one was based in Malaysia, but business skills are business skills. So let's access this article. So a hint from me is that you will always find the answer in the abstract, because in this abstract, and let me zoom in here. I'm going to download this so that we can view it properly actually. So let's say downloads, save. Then we go to our downloads, but before I go to my downloads, let me stop sharing in case I share something I'm not supposed to share. Okay. Sorry. Gonna give it a try or to share my screen again. Okay, I see I've got a question here. Let me see. Is there a recommended amount of references that we use for the assignment? Ethan, I think the minimum is something like 4 to 8 references, but in the rubric, they normally would say as well. Let's check. Or let me do that when I'm done here. So let's finish this and then I'll come back to your answer. We were trying to access this article. So when you read an article, every academic article, when we're talking about standards, right, it must have name of author, and it must have a date. So if you go and just to make you guys a bad example, okay, these things are starting to bother me now. Okay, cancel. Let's see, entrepreneurship can go. So I just want to clean this out a bit so you don't have too many things open. Okay. The reason why these particular articles, or the reason why EBSCOhost and Google Maps, for instance, are important databases is because when you search for anything that is in those, you will find articles with names, with authors and the dates, right? And if you look at, for instance, this article that we have, you can see here it's a 2019 article, and here are the names of the people that wrote the article. Okay. So you can see here it's what? Yusuf et al. Okay. So if you take the same exercise and you look for functional management skills in the normal Google, right? And let's say of an entrepreneur, this is what you're going to find. Now you're going to scroll down. As a student, you're going to scroll down and then you're going to say, management skills required to become an entrepreneur. Okay, that sounds important. Now, the thing about Google is that you never know the quality of information that it's going to send to you. Now, number one, what I see here is that it's MIT School of Distance Education. Okay, fine. MIT is a university in the United States. I don't know where it is, but I know it's quite like a reputable university. So if we go in there, and it's taking a bit of time. I think it's my Wi-Fi. Let's try this again. Okay. So here we've got MIT SDE as the person who wrote this article. My beef with this is, who the hell, excuse me for my language, who is MIT SDE, you see? So when we're talking about that, the criteria for a good quality article is that we already don't have a name of an author with this article, even though we do have a date. Okay. Then the other thing that you need to maybe consider is the quality and relevance of the website. MIT, maybe they do have, they talk about these things and they say time management, business planning, employee management. Remember, I've said to you that you can get a source that has different answers to what the textbook is talking about. So in your answer, you might feel like this is right. But now, because of things such as this MIT SDE, they're writing it relevant maybe to MIT. So you never know, because they're trying to sell their information. So I wouldn't really trust, as much as MIT is a reputable university, I wouldn't trust the information because they've got their own objectives in mind. Maybe here they're trying, you see, like they're trying to sell business management courses. So just so that they can write about their business courses, the distance MBA courses that they sell, they're going to put this information here. So please be careful of these websites. Now let's go to a more, even worse. What I love is this one. This is oh, by the way, guys, I have an article that has been published in this journal. This is a journal, much like, EBSCO. Okay, but EBSCO is like a database. In your database, you've got different journals, and in your different journals, you've got different articles. A journal is sort of something like a magazine, right? And then with articles, remember, every magazine has different articles that they write. Yeah, so a journal is exactly like that. So look for things like Indeed, and let's go into Indeed, a guide to entrepreneurial skills, definitions and examples. You go into there, you think it's important, and you've seen, I've said to people who've used Indeed, I've said it's not a reputable, oh, and here's another word that is in what important, peer reviewed. That means that the information that you have written in your article has been checked by other people who are experts within that field and can verify that the work that you have written is relevant and it makes sense. Now, the problem with an article like this, for instance, we are here at this website called Indeed. We've got the name of the person who wrote the article, but now we've got something called updated in November sharp. So you can already see this information was updated. Why was it updated? That's my question. Did they find maybe their information was wrong at some point, or maybe not so relevant, or they had skipped an answer? Why does it need to be updated? Okay, so as much as we've got a name and we've got, the year, and let's go back to this criteria of us, no less than 5 years old, I think it qualifies as well, yes. However, what we don't have is that we don't have quality of reference of the website, because what is Indeed, guys? They are trying to help you to find a job. This is not the type of article that is talking directly to entrepreneurship. They have nothing to do with building the academic field of entrepreneurship. However, they write these things so that you know which skills they need you need in order for you to find a job. So do you see, when I talk about the relevance of an article, you have to think to yourself, the person who wrote this, what was their goal? And you will see that a lot of the times when we look at these articles that are from sources such as EBSCOhost and Google Scholar, they even have here the aim of why they are writing this article, right? And you will see here they say that this study aims to determine the distribution of the components of functional business skills and knowledge among entrepreneurs living across different geographical districts using ASNAF entrepreneurs of Kelantan, Malaysia as a data source. So you can already see here they are trying to advance entrepreneurship. So you can trust that their information is correct. Because on top of that, this is an article that we found on Google Scholar, right? Because we searched for it there. So because these are written by scholars, they are also peer reviewed. Like I said, there are people who are experts in that field that have doubled and made sure that that information is correct. The information that you've written is correct. So please, please, please make sure. And when the sad part is that I cannot give you less marks for not having quality sources. But without quality sources, you cannot build a strong argument. So back to the article and how it is that you will find your answers. So we said measuring, and well, that's the article and who here are the authors, and we already now read what the aim of this is. They want to find out about management, what functional business skills and knowledge amongst entrepreneurs that are living in different geographical areas in Malaysia, right? Then they say that the study employed a cross-sectional approach and quantitative data were collected from 800 respondents in Kelantan, Malaysia. And based on the reliability and validity testing, the study finalized the instrument to 34 items yielding 5 factors. And these are the factors. You see already they're talking about 5 business skills. We are already getting 5 factors here. Financial skills, technical skills, communication skills, market orientation, and networking skills. So we can already copy that, right? And say, for instance, we were answering our question, because remember when I taught you guys in the Lear method, where you have to give a backup of your answers, what you will then is, let me put it this way, actually. Okay. So remember in this Lear method that I've taught you guys with regards to answering theory questions, yes, you list the theory, you explain it in your own words. And remember, this theory you find in your prescribed textbook. But here in number 4, you have to provide an additional resource. And this could be in the form of another definition, real life example, personal experience, company website, etc. So now here we are finding it in this article. And so you can say, for instance, when you see this, you can say in the prescribed textbook, Nievenhuizen says the functional management skills are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe there's 8, I think, in the book, whereas here they're only talking about 5. Then you can make a comparison to say, but Yusuf et al, they are saying there's only 5 here, right? And then every time when you've read this or when you read this abstract, you must also besides finding out what the aim is, you must also find what the findings are. They always say, after they tell you how the study, and this is basically when this part that I'm going to highlight in green, let me make this maybe green so it stands out. This side, this is where they normally explain to you how the study was done. Because remember, this is peer-reviewed, analyzed data. So if I'm going to say these are the 5 management skills, I've actually analyzed data. Whereas with companies such as, for instance, Indeed, they will not necessarily tell you that they are analyzing data. right? So you don't even know, for instance, they'll say, what are entrepreneurial skills? And then they'll give you a list of entrepreneurial skills. But what references do they have for these? Where did they get their answers? So because this is not peer reviewed and they are not referencing other people and they are not doing what is required in your assignment, which is to, and let me go back to that line, providing evidence based on valid and referenced academic sources. That is not, it does not qualify as that, this Indeed website. So please, guys, if I find Indeed, I'm gazi what I'm going to do, but like, I'm just trying to emphasize that please use quality resources. So anyway, back to what I was trying to say. So in an article now you've read or you're reading this abstract, what you normally will love to focus on is the findings. So what's nice about this is I'm giving you a cheat sheet because you don't have to read all the 24 pages of this article. They already give you the answers here. They say that the findings of, and look at, and maybe we can also kind of do this, you know, the Lear method, because that's another way of, I'm basically building on that, right? So let's go back and say what they found. So they say the findings of the study revealed that the level of business knowledge among the ASNAF entrepreneurs is moderately low. So the level of business knowledge is low, right? And then furthermore, it was found that the distribution of financial skills, technical skills, communication skills, marketing skills, and networking skills, and these are the 5 that they have listed here, right? They are significantly different across the districts of Kelantan. And here you find your answers, and let me make them in pink. So, or maybe let me make them another color. This orange is driving me up the wall. Let me make it blue. So what I'm trying to say is there's normally about 3 sections. It's not necessarily 3 sentences, but 3 sections where they tell you the aims, then they tell you the type of study or how the study was done, and then they talk about the findings. Now, if you talk about these findings, for example, you will say that, for instance, here they are saying that the level of business knowledge among entrepreneurs in ASNAF is moderately low. So you can talk about, you know, if let's say, for instance, in your Lear answer, right, you've provided what the key financial management sources are. What is it? The key functional skills of managers or management functional skills are, right? You've explained them in your words. You've provided an example of them. But then you can provide, by providing an additional resource, then you're basically saying that Yusuf et al. Did a study in Malaysia, and they found that, you know, business knowledge amongst ASNAF entrepreneurs is actually very low. And you can actually then say to yourself, what is the relevance therefore in South Africa? We know that maybe information that so you know, because if you're not going to do the research on finding out what is happening in South Africa, then just leave it there where you've just said you're in your additional resource. That's what you have found. Okay, so that's basically the elements of the quality resource. Guys, I know this is going, I did not think I would get this technical with regards to explaining, you know, things like quality resources, but I think in any case, it's going to be something that's relevant and helps you to complete your answers. Google Scholar, besides Google Scholar, which other websites do you suggest for good resources for entrepreneurship? So another thing that you can do is, and this one I don't recommend it, right? You can look on the actual Google. So remember, we are looking what at, oh, sorry. We're looking at key functional. Oh gosh, let me just go and copy and paste it. Functional management skills. We're looking for functional management skills, right? Then you press enter. So another website or another thing is actually Google. But then here you have to really be careful, like I was saying, which website you used. I wouldn't use like a master class like this, for instance, master class, because what is master class? You know, if you know what master class is, okay, so master class, it's this one where they do Anna Wintour, blah, 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 right? I like the master class. It is a reputable, can I call it a brand? Because they basically teach you how to build a business, and it's actually people that have run businesses, you know, that they do master classes on. But if you look here in like, you know, what is functional management, the necessary qualities, yes, they are talking about that. And if you look at, you know, the date, see, my first problem is it's written by masterclass. So it doesn't have an author, any reputable article. If you've written an article, let's put it this way. If you've written an article, wouldn't you like your name to be written there to say, Tseho did all the work, you know, of researching this article, etc., etc. You know, so is it Ethan who asked this question? Cody. Cody, to ask your question, to answer your question, I would rather just stick to these because we need academic sources. I would just rather stick to Google Scholar, and I would stick to um, what is this? Google Scholar and EBSCOhost, because of the fact that they are peer reviewed. These are academic resources. Remember, we are in an academic institution, and we are trying to deliver high quality academic work. And I'm going to go back to the sentence in the assignment that says evidence based on valid and referenced academic resources. Okay. Yeah, so yeah, let's leave it there. Let's leave it there. So let's continue. We were talking about referencing, right? And with regards to referencing, guys, depending on whether you've got minor errors or major errors, and this you will have seen, for instance, in your ICE activities. I've only marked ICE activity 1. In this week, I'm still going to mark your ICE activity 2, 3, and 4, which is due this week. And you will see there, I would have normally already told you, you would have been flagged for plagiarism if you would have submitted, you know, referencing that technically incorrect. So speaking of referencing, guys, we use the IIE Harvard Reference Guide, and that, let me see, I think I've already added to, in your module, more resources. Let's leave more resources, intellectual and integrity, yes, and other policies. I've already even added for you the IIE Harvard Style Reference Guide. And with regards to using this, all you have to do is go to page 3, and page 3 will give you the table of contents. So if for instance, we are trying to reference our journal article, remember we found a journal article in EBSCOhost, what we can then do is we use this, and then we say journal article, however, obtained from an online database. We click on that, and this will show you exactly how it is that we should reference it. So referencing, please make sure, make sure that your referencing is correct. What I will do is I did develop a tool, a interactive video tool that teaches you how to reference. Remember my other job is I am the head of management studies, and as that, I have to help students with whatever their challenges are, and their challenges are referencing. So please make sure that you do access that tool. It's something that you will have to do in your own time. I will not be covering referencing in our sessions. I mean, if you look, I've only just discussed technical stuff. We haven't even gotten to the assignment, but we are already 1 hour in our national assessment strategy, or what's national support session. So yeah, that's the referencing part. So depending on whether you have minor errors or major errors, you can get deducted 5%, or maybe let me make this one like a less harsh color, 5%, or if you've got major errors, you can get deducted 10%. And then if you do not reference at all or try to reference, if it means that you do not have any referencing in the form of um, in-text referencing or a reference list, then you get flagged for plagiarism. So please make sure that you do reference, guys, because if you are finding, even if you go to a lousy email or a lousy website such as Indeed, right, and you copy their answers, if you don't say, I found these answers from Indeed, do you understand that then you are copying, you're cheating, you're stealing the answers of Indeed and you're presenting them as your own. And that's one of the criteria that you, well, yeah, the things, the quality standards or ethical standards that you have to uphold with assignments. So we've done the referencing part, and then assignment instructions. Students are required to conduct further research. So by further research, guys, it also does include what we've been doing. If, for instance, we went and we looked for this article and we already found out that, oh, actually people in Malaysia, have they did a study in Malaysia and they found that the people don't have, adequate business skills, or their business skills are moderately low. That's additional research that you have been doing. So in any answer that you have, and maybe to answer, if I'm answering whoever asked the question about how many types of resources, I would say for every question, have an additional resource. So what that means, for instance, is if I go to the assignment, right? And let's say it says the question here is about functional management skills. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my textbook to say what are the functional management skills, but then I'm going to get an additional resources. So for instance, you see, I will have 1, 2, 3, maybe 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 additional resources. So I would say per question, have an additional resource. That's, yeah, let's put that as a guideline. So I would say have an additional resource per question, if not more than that, if not per section of a question. Okay. So conduct further research and prescribe text and reading material. And here they tell you even where to get it. So let's stick to this list actually. Prescribed text reading, which I've already told you guys, recommended reading. And this would be the recommended reading that you find in your module outline. So yeah, that also helps. And additional reading required, which you source from EBSCOhost. And this is what we did. So guys, please make sure that you do conduct further research. And then students are, here's the answer. Students are required to make use of a minimum of 2 scientific academic journals in their response on the assignment. Minimum of 2 scientific journals. So this is 1 scientific journal. You need another one that you're gonna use, and that's, I guess, the minimum that they have. So in mind, remember I said, do it for every question. That is because I'm trying to teach you how to do it the Lear method way. And remember, with my Lear method, I'm trying to teach you how to answer questions in a way that you will get a distinction for your answer. So I'm trying to teach you on a very high level and quality of delivery in my answering. Okay, so minimum of 2 scientific academic journals. Writing requirements is an essay. Referencing requirements, the referencing rubric will be used. The IIE Harvard Star must be used, and the submission must be submitted through SafeAssign. We've already discussed all of those. Word count limitation, they give you there of 1,000 to 1,500 words. Now, with regards to word limitation, guys, honestly, that is not important for me, because I'm more interested in whether you can give me the right answer. I find that students struggle to shorten their sentences simply because they're trying to squeeze into this, and I really don't have a problem with that. Honestly, I want you to answer me according to the Lear method. Show me that you understand the work by explaining it in your own words, giving me an example, and providing an additional resource that is relevant. This for me is more important than me counting the word limit or the word count. And I know I'm basically being, call it corrupt when I'm doing this, but guys, honestly, for me, it doesn't matter how much you write. I will read whatever your answer is, and I will try to find marks for you if that's what I have to do. So they say that your lecturer will not mark beyond the maximum word count. Again, I will not do this. You know, you can report me for doing it, but I'm sorry. For me, it's important that you know how to answer the questions, and that's what my mission is. So the assignment topic, we've got a case study. You read the case study. It's about Tumi, a motivated student at a local higher educational institution who then starts. So it's like a VC student, right? And then she starts an EcoShine auto care car wash, right? And then she saw, hey, there's a gap in the market. She did some research. She did a business plan. She had some sustainable practice ideas, operational requirements and marketing, etc. And she had a customer focus, etc., etc. Now we have to then assist Tumi by drafting a report that considers various aspects of EcoShine AutoCare. Now we have to write this report of between 1,800 to 2,300 words. And you see here, we already have a problem because why was they saying 1,000 or to 1,500? So for me, please leave that. It's really not a thing for me. Okay. So, analyze the type of entrepreneurial venture and which key functional areas enable the individual to deal with external factors. Include in your analysis the following points. Discuss whether the venture is a micro, a small, or a medium-sized venture. So because you will know your theory, you're going to have to reflect on your theory and say to yourself, what is a micro business or micro-sized business? What is a small-sized business? What is a medium-sized business? Discuss those, guys, because remember, in your answer, we are saying we want you to list the theory and explain it in your words, and then you're going to give us examples. So with the example, then you will say, Tumi's business maybe is a small business, depending on the criteria that is, for a small business or a micro, whatever it is. You substantiate your answer by saying this is how it relates to the theory. Then you outline the functional management skills that are important for Tumi. I've already made an example of how you would answer that and how you would back it up by getting additional sources of information. And then provide practical examples to support your discussion. Okay, they make it already clear for you that you're gonna get examples for what? Yeah, marks for additional examples. Then they ask you to discuss the business environment. This is learning unit 2. My favorite one, include the micro, macro, and micro environment. And I think here they were supposed to say the micro, macro, and market. So let's say the market, macro, and micro environment in your discussion. So maybe this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this as a note and follow up on it just to double check, but it really does include everything. So guys, I've said this in one of our videos. I can't remember which lecture it was. Every time with a question like the micro, macro, and market environment. The market environment, remember, has 3 variables. The macro has 6. The micro has environment, has 3, right? Now, if you hear the question, they're saying discuss the business environments of the entrepreneurial venture. Sometimes how they ask this question is they'll say, which ones are relevant? Guys, it's always all of them. So now my point is, if they ask you the micro, macro, and micro, market, macro, and micro, discuss all the 3, the 6, and the 3 of this. Don't just discuss half and then get half marks. So please just discuss everything. I've said this in one of our other sessions. Yeah, so yeah, catch up on the recordings if that will help. And then discuss, okay, provide practical examples. Again, they're just telling you here to provide those examples. Explain the process that Dumi should follow to cultivate a creative attitude as an entrepreneur. Again, you say, what is a creative attitude? You define it for us, because remember, we're doing an assignment. After you've defined it for us, because that's what the Lear method says, you explain it in your own words, and that's what defining it is. Then you provide an example, then that additional resource. So in here, we are talking about creative attitude. Then recommend and describe the best business format for the entrepreneurial venture. You will know what the different formats are. You will maybe even discuss the different formats. And then you say, based on the criteria, Tumi's is what, because of play ABC. And then develop a mission statement with clear objectives for the entrepreneurial venture. With regards to the mission statement, guys, there are 9 criteria or 9 questions. Please make sure that you know this. If you have seen the recording for Learning Unit 4, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. So please make sure that you do catch up with the recordings. I don't know if you guys have any questions with regards to the questions. Because it is an assignment, I cannot necessarily discuss the questions, but if you have a question right now that you would like to ask, let's see how it is that we can answer this for you. What I'm just doing is going through the technicalities of how you would complete this assignment. Now then, we've got the assignment rubric, and this should be your Bible, because if you go through your assignment rubric, it shows you the mark allocation that you are going to get based on how you answer the question. So in our first question, we have here, analyze the type of entrepreneurial venture, right? And which functional areas enable the individual to deal with external factors. Doesn't sound right here because they asked us for the functional management skills, right? So when you talk about those, I'm going to say to myself, if you're going to exceed in the required standard, what you then will have done is you would have said that you would have made sure that there's a concise and engaging introduction, right? Which features highly relevant background information to contextualize the report. So the introduction maybe will say, Tumi started a business. She's based in South Africa. She's got a small business. What is the state of small businesses in South Africa, right? And then you remember we are doing additional research, and then you say small businesses in South Africa are struggling. So it'll be very interesting what ideas Dumi comes up with to start her business, because we all know that starting a business in South Africa
Knowledge is good.
is challenging. Sorry, that's Siri. Yeah, Siri, I'm not talking to you. I'm in a class. Okay, so that would be the introduction. The response promotes readability. The type of entrepreneurial venture and key success factors showcases the student's comprehension and application. And maybe I can highlight this: comprehension and application of the theory in a practical example with suitable examples that relate to the theory. Now, with regards to this, again, guys, if you go to my Lear method, I have done all of that: example, explain, resource, etc. Remember, I've said to you that I've designed this Lear method in such a way that you are gonna get a distinction just by simply following it. So hence, already, if you've done this, you can see that you already qualify for the top tier mark allocation. And then the student is showcasing a high level of understanding the interaction with theory, additional readings, referencing, and research. Again, if you go to my tier method, we said what additional reading, research, referencing, etc. Right? So all of this is covered in the Lear method again. So for the rubric, make sure that you know per question, and you don't really need to understand. Guys, honestly, if you read the Lear method or understand the Lear method, that's all you need, I would say. But the rubric, make sure that you know what mark allocation. Okay, and I think with the mark rubric, guys, if a question is going to be out of 25 marks versus a question that's out of 30 marks versus a question that's out of 15 marks. Do you see that there's going to be different requirements? Obviously, a question that's going to be out of 30 marks is going to require more work. So please, guys, be cognizant of the mark allocation and allow that to dictate the amount of effort that you put into each question. So if the question is out of, 20 marks, allow the 20 marks to dictate the effort that you put. If a question is out of 5 marks, don't give me a 1 page for 5 marks and then give me half a page for 30 marks. So please make sure that you are cognizant of that. And then that is it. After you've done, gone through the rubric, that should be everything that you need. Then after that, we've already covered, and I think in our first, let me just check what we've got in our more resources. More resources. Okay, we've got the link, the playlist, lecturer slides, which I do not add. Semester planner, let's see what we've got under more resources. Okay, we've got nothing done here. So what I'll do is, guys, I will also add an assignment template. I don't know if you guys have that assignment template, and let me put it here in the notes. Assignment. Either you can create your own or you can use this one. I will also then upload it for you guys. And this one is a personal note for myself that I should upload the assignment for you guys, or the assignment template. Then you make sure that you use that. Remember, it's got a cover page, it's got the declaration, etc., etc. So it'll just help you to remain more relevant. And then, yeah, you complete your assignment in the assignment template, you submit your assignment via the links as we've discussed, and yeah, that's it. Let me just check the questions. Yeah, so the recommended amount of references in your assignment, they already said you need to have 2 additional resources. Another one would be your prescribed textbook, so that's already 3. And then that would be, yeah, minimum 3 then, if that answers the question. And then Google Scholar, again, for you to answer your question, stick to Google Scholar. Otherwise, if you're gonna go to websites, right? And maybe let me try and answer this one again for you. If you're gonna go to other websites, what you can do is, because like for instance, this question is about a car wash, right? You can say car wash. Let's start by searching car wash. Or let's make it interesting and say how to build or to start a car wash business in South Africa. Right? Hey, but now my question is, Kranzel, I don't know what Kranzel is, you know what I mean? But if you're talking about SMME South Africa, this sounds a little bit more reputable, because you can see that their goal is all about, SMMEs, and Dumi is running an SMME, right? So let's then go to guide to launching a car wash business. Here, what I don't like about the article is that it doesn't have an author. See, I would already disqualify it. It was written in May 2022. And think about it this way: if you've already, kind of had your prescribed textbook and you're now just giving us an additional resource, then maybe there's less pressure on the information to be absolutely correct because it pertains to the theory. Then maybe you can use a reference like this, because SMME South Africa, you can imagine they write anything, that pertains to SMMEs in South Africa. So that's very relevant, right? Here you see car wash trends, challenges and opportunities, laws and regulations. Then a website like this as an additional resource would help. So let me make another example by going through a question in the assignment. Functional management skills, we've already done. Market macro, I'm scared to do this one. Mission statement, let's do mission statement for interest sakes. Now, I've already mentioned that with the mission statement, there are 9 criteria. Please, guys, make sure that you know this. I've said this in the recording. Please make sure that you also catch up with the recording for Learning Unit 4. That 9 criteria is what they are trying to ask you here when they say develop the mission statement. I shan't go into it any further. What I want to show you guys is how to get an answer or relevance. Yeah. So the mission statement, if we say the mission statement, Investopedia, I wouldn't use that website, because if you go into Investopedia, fine, it's written by David Gorton. I don't like the fact that it's updated. You know, maybe it's a good thing that Ebony what reviewed it, fact checked by Suzanne. So maybe it's not so bad. And again, if it is an additional resource, so in other words, there's already a resource that has got high quality information that has been peer reviewed, then this maybe can help. And then you would then look for, you know, what's relevant, how a mission statement works, defining it. Yeah, so if, let's say, for instance, they are defining it, right? Or did I see defining it? Or drafting it, how a mission statement works, or drafting it, not defining it, sorry. Yeah, so you would say this website, Investopedia, says this is how you draft a mission statement. But again, focus on making sure that this first reference is a high quality one, so that by the time you provide an additional resource, you can then compare it to the first one and say, oh, in Investopedia, they say that this is how you draft a mission statement, you know. Then you can maybe then say, compare the differences and say, maybe the textbook is a little bit more relevant because they have a standardized blah, blah, blah way, you know, whereas in Investopedia, blah, 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 you will know what you will put your two and two together and analyze it. So look here, they're talking about advantages and disadvantages. So I would maybe also even add something like this. Investopedia says advantages and disadvantages of a mission statement are after you've defined it and created your mission statement. Because remember, we are still at that level 4 of the Lear method where we are providing additional resources. So yeah, man, go through another one is company websites. You know, if let's say the what is it, the case study was on, you know, maybe Checkers, then go to Checkers, the website of Checkers, and see what Checkers are saying about themselves, you know. But yeah, I would just say go under and really think about what their aim is, and is that relevant to what you're trying to study. I hope that answers your question. Guys, I have taken about 17 more minutes of your time. If there are no more questions, yeah, that's it. Cody, thank you too. Yeah, if there are no more questions, let's call it a day for this session. Thank you so much. If you have any further questions, please feel free to email me. Yeah, that's it. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.